Hey, welcome everybody. So we finished with we finished talking about Omer, so now we have to already start thinking about Shavuos. Um, there's definitely less halachos that come up which are specific to Shavuos, besides for the halachos of how one would act on regular Yontif. Um, so those are halachos that obviously come up. But there are a few specific in regard to Shavuos and different practices that we have. So that would be the first part of this year tonight. And then the second part of this year um, is also not halachos specifically that come up specifically for Shavuos, but it comes up very often in Shavuos. So that's the halachos of somebody who would stay up all night learning, because then there's a lot of questions what to do in the morning. So there are halachos which come up for most people on Shavuos, but it's not really necessarily a Shavuos halacha for anyone who stays up all night. So you could have these halachos come up to you if you'd stay up all night at a different time in the year. But that's part two of this year. So we'll start with part one first, and we'll do part two second. Um, so first, talk about the month of Nisan, that the Ramah says that from Rosh Chodesh Sivan until Isru Chag, the day after Shavuos, we do not say Tachnun. That's what the Ramah says, and the Mishnah Brura he adds. Excuse me, sorry. Yet we also do not fast from the Rosh Chodesh. So it's a little bit of a question. Why from Rosh Chodesh we celebrate Shavuos on the sixth day of Sivan? So what about those days in between? So the Mishnah Berurah he explains. He says day one is Rosh Chodesh. Once Rosh Chodesh, you don't take Tachanun, you don't fast. And day two, Moshe already he told Bnei Israel that on that day to sanctify themselves and prepare themselves to receive the Torah. So on day two, also you don't say. Then it's day three, four, and five are the 3 days that Bnei Israel prepared to receive the Torah. So also those days are joyous. And then Shavuos is day six, we don't say there. And then Isru Chag, day after Shavuos, also still happy, no Tachana. And then there are those who even have the practice to not take Tachana until the 12th of the month. So where does that come from? So that is because the korbanos that were brought specifically on Shavuos, they were able to be made up for 7 days afterwards, tashlumim, as to in case one missed it, they had 7 days to fulfill their obligation. So some wait until the 12th of the month, after the 12th of the month to start saying tachlin, and some say if you live outside of Israel, you can add even one more day because anyone who's outside of Israel, there's always this doubt of which day is the proper day. So that would be so some people refrain from saying Tachlin for till after the 13th day. But anyways, as it relates to Shavuos itself, so Shavuos is 50th day of the counting, right? We count 49 days, and then it's Shavuos on the 50th day. So the Mishnah Berurah says that when we get to Shavuos, we don't start Shavuos early because we want to delay saying Mariv until after stars come out, after Seis, because we want the counting of the Omer to be 49 complete days. We want it to be Tamimim, pure days. So, a lot of times, especially in the summer, people want to take in Shabbos early. It's a very nice thing. Also, then you're able to have a meal before 9:30 p.m. on Shabbos. So it's a nice thing to take Shabbos early. But Shavuos, the Mishnah Berurah says one should not take in early. I mean, I guess if one's staying up all night anyways learning, then there's no need. You can have a meal at 9:30 p.m. You can have a meal at 11 p.m. You're up all night. So that works out. There's a very interesting discussion that already the Gemara has, but the Magen Avraham says that on our calendar we celebrate Shavuos on the sixth day of Sivan. So he says that that's why we say in davening Zman Matan Torah Seinu. This is the day that we receive the Torah because the Torah was given on the sixth of Sivan, even though on the year that Bnei Yisrael received the Torah, the sixth of Sivan was not actually day 50; it was actually day 51. So this is a little bit of a complicated Gemara. Shabbos maybe if we run out of things, if we finish everything this year, maybe we'll talk about it next week. But that's a dispute in the Gemara. Rabbi Yossi holds the Torah was given on the seventh day of Sivan, So it's a little bit of a debate what day was the Torah actually given on. But regardless, we celebrate Shavuos on the sixth day of Sivan. It's also the famous practice, which most people are aware about, that you have to eat dairy foods. You have to eat cheesecake on Shavuos. If you don't eat cheesecake on Shavuos, you have not fulfilled your obligation. So is that a real halacha? Is that true? So the practice of Ashkenazim, he writes that the custom is to eat dairy foods on the first day of Shavuos. So it's not made up, right? It really is a thing. He doesn't say you need to specifically have cheesecake, but he says the practice is to eat dairy foods. So cheesecake would certainly fulfill dairy foods. So what's the reason behind that? So the Ramah already, he gives an explanation. He says that the reason is to remember the Shnei Halechem, that this was a specific korban that was brought by Bnei Israel on Shavuos. So to remember that, we eat one food, which is dairy, and afterwards we eat one food of meat, and with each of these foods, we eat bread with them as to remember the Shnei Halachim that were brought in the times of the Beis Hamikdash. So that's the origins. That's what the Ramah says. And the Mishnah Berurah says you can actually eat these two specific foods, one meat, one dairy, as part of the same meal. And you don't even need to bench as long as you have of course, the milk before the meat. But that the Zohar, that's a little bit controversial because the Zohar says that one should not, meaning we wait in between eating meat and eating milk, right? We wait at 3 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, but milk before meat, it's much less lenient. But the Zohar says that one should not even eat milk and then eat meat as part of the same meal. So according to the Zohar, that would not be a okay practice. But I think most people don't even have this practice to bring out a milk food and specifically have a meat food. But that is how the Ramah actually writes it. Most people just eat dairy, eat ice cream, have cheesecake, serve it, right? So is there other reasons to eat dairy besides for remembering these shtei alechem? So the Mishnah Berurah has two more reasons. So that was reason number one from the Ramah, the shnei alechem. Two more reasons, reason two and reason three, that both by the Mishnah Berurah, that he says after Bnei Yisrael stood at Har Sinai and they received the Torah, so they came back into their tents, and they didn't have anything to eat besides for dairy products because meat needs a lot of work. You need to shecht it, you need to salt the meat. He said all their dishes that they used were no good because they weren't good from before. So therefore they just said, let's eat dairy foods. It's the most simple. And so as a way to remember that, we have dairy foods. That's what the Mishnah Berurah quotes. And then he quotes another reason. He says that the Torah is compared to milk and honey. Eretz Zavas Chalav V'Dvash. So some people have the custom to have dairy and honey. And that's a third reason why people have dairy. I'm sure there are more reasons why people have this custom, but those are the ones I saw. Some have the practice to, so when should you have the dairy? So some have the practice to have dairy foods on the first night of Shavuos and to eat meat during the day. But some people don't like this because they say meat should be eaten at night. So if you really want to fulfill the simcha, the joy of a yantif, you should have meat. Others say no, the obligation of simcha is not only fulfilled with meat, it's fulfilled with whatever you like, whatever food is good. So that's a debate. If one is eating dairy meal, though, that it should still be an important meal. You shouldn't feel like it's any less. You should have an important foods that happen to be dairy. Some have the practice to eat meat as their main meal during the night and the day, and they make sure to have a kiddush that's dairy. Okay, so everyone has a different custom there. Whatever your family custom is probably okay. The Ramah quotes one more custom that is only for Shavuos. So the Ramah says the custom is to lay out these plants on Shavuos in your shuls, in your homes, to remember the joy of receiving the Torah. This is to have the plants and flowers, etc. So Mishnah Berurah says the reason is because at Matan Torah, when we receive the Torah, there were these plants surrounding Har Sinai. So to remember that, we put plants around our shul. So the Mishnah Berurah also says the custom is to put trees in the shul, um, to remind us to the fact that we're also judged about Shavuot is a time when we are judged about the fruits on the tree. So Mishnah Berurah writes, but the Vilna Gaon, the Gra, he said he did not like this practice because he said we're taking a practice from the non-Jews who put trees in their place of worship. So he was very much against it. Some people think it's okay, some people don't think it's okay. I don't think we ever had trees in the shul growing up. I'm not sure. So I guess some shuls have this practice, some shuls don't. Okay, so that's part one of our discussion tonight. The next part of our discussion will be if someone stays up all night, what are the relevant halachas that they should know? So firstly, where does this come from? So the Mishnah Berurah, he writes that is written in the Zohar, Kabbalistic. They said that the original Hasidim, the original pious people, they would stay up all night learning on Shavuos. And he says now that custom is already widespread and everyone does it. And the Rizal, he writes that anyone that stays up all night learning, is not going to have anything bad happen to them if you stay up all night learning on Shavuos. And the Magen Avraham explains that the reason we're doing this is because at the time of Matan Torah, when we received the Torah, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he had to wake up Bnei Israel. They were all sleeping, had to give them the Torah. They didn't get the memo. They weren't davening nates. So we stay up all night to correct that. That's what Magen Avraham explains, and that is I think the most commonly quoted explanation for the reason why we stay up all night learning. I heard an idea last year, which my chavrusa reminded me about this morning. He told me I told him. I thought he told me. So I don't know where I heard this idea, if it was from him or if I told it to him, but I heard it from somewhere. That the question is as follows: that it would seem that staying up all night learning is a very inefficient method of learning. Um, one could certainly argue that if our goal was to learn the most amount of Torah and to really understand it, to learn it well, then maybe we should just go to sleep at night, have a good night's sleep, go to sleep early, 9 p.m. We'll wake up and have a great day of learning, and we'll be much more focused. We won't be sitting in these chairs, our eyes barely staying open, right? So this doesn't make any sense. That's the question. And the answer is that, yeah, if our goal was simply to learn the most amount of Torah, that's what we would do. But on Shavuos, it's not only about that. Shavuos is also about showing our love of Torah, our avas Torah. And when people love something, and they're in love, they do some things which are just sometimes illogical because of that love, and they take very extreme measures because they love these things so much. So sort of like we can't even help ourselves on Shavuos night. We love the Torah so much, we want to stay up all night just learning the Torah, even though we know, it might not be the most efficient or most productive way to do it. It's a sign of our love for the Torah. So that was a nice idea I heard somewhere, and I wanted to share. Okay, but anyways, these halachos. So first discussion is birchas Torah, that every morning when one wakes up before they learn Torah, they should say brachas on recited before learning Torah. It's called birchas Torah that one recites in the morning. So the question is, why do we recite birchas Torah every single day? Meaning, once we say the bracha, meaning I said the bracha, let's say I was 13, I was obligated, I said the bracha. Okay, so now I'm learning. Next day, hopefully I'm still learning more and more and more. So why do I need to say this bracha every single day? So two reasons. So Rabbeinu Tam, he explains the reason is just like we say birchas hashachar every day. We say different the brachas in the morning. Right? Yishrumim, the birchas hashachar. So Chazal established that so too birchas Torah should be recited every single day. Every single day in the morning, they should be recited. That's answer number one. Answer number two, given from the Rush, he explains, both Rishonim, the Rebbeinu Tam and the Rush are both early Rishonim. so he says that sleeping at night is actually a hefsek bracha, which means it's interruption of the bracha that you made yesterday. I mean, you said a bracha on Birchas Torah on Monday. You went to sleep Monday night. So Tuesday, you have to say it again because you had a big interruption. It's called your sleep. You're a normal human being. You go to sleep at night. So you have to say a new bracha. So, okay, so now what do we do with that? So if one would stay up all night, so if you hold like Rabbeinu Tam, right? Rabbeinu Tam says that Chazal, the rabbis, they established to say it every single day. Okay, so regardless of if I slept at night, I should have to say a new birchas brachas on the Torah, new birchas Torah. Right? It's all about every single day. It's nothing to do with if I fell asleep or not. So I should say it. But if you hold like the Rush says it's all about your interruption. The interruption means you fell asleep. So if I stayed up all night, and I had no interruption and I was learning the whole night, there's no reason why I would need to say a new Birchas Torah. So Mishnah Berurah quotes this, and he says, since we don't know who's right, maybe Rabbeinu Tam's right, and we should be saying Birchas Torah. Maybe the Rosh is right, and we should not be saying Birchas Torah. So we have this principle called Safek Brachos Lahakal, which means anytime you have a doubt if to say a bracha or not, a halachic doubt, um, so then no bracha is said. This is meaning this is Safek brachos akel. I once heard in a shir that I think Rav Shai Shechter said this once in a shir. Rav Shechter of YU, his son Rav Shai, he gives excellent shirim. And he once said that he got a call from a girl in high school, and she said that she didn't know what bracha to make on this food. She thought maybe the bracha should be ha'itz, or maybe the bracha should be ha'adama, so she wasn't sure. So safek bracha was lahakel, which means time we have a doubt, you should be lenient, don't say the bracha. So that's not a correct application of safek bracha was lahakel. Safek bracha was lahakel is when there's a real halachic doubt. But if you know, if we know the halacha, it's just I might not know the halacha because I didn't open up the Svarim. So then, okay, then we would say you have to say bracha. You just have to figure out, ask a shaila, ask someone. But if Chazal doesn't know what to do, we have different opinions among the Rishonim. So then we say we have a doubt and no bracha said. So Mishnah Berurah says so. He offers possible solutions, though, meaning we don't know if we could say a bracha. We don't know if we should say a bracha. We don't know if we should not say a bracha because we don't know if Rabbeinu Tam's right. We don't know if the Rush is right. So Mishnah Berurah offers two solutions. He says, number one is one option that you have is that if you stayed up all night learning, then you can ask someone who is certainly obligated in the bracha, meaning, for example, someone who did go to sleep at night and they certainly are obligated, so they should say the bracha while they're saying it for themselves, and they should have you in mind. So if that is the case, then the one who's listening, they should listen to the bracha, they should say amen to the bracha, and then immediately say a few psukim after to ensure that there's learning, which happens immediately after the bracha of the Torah. After these birchas Torah. So that's option number one, the Mishnah Berurah gives. Another option given by the Mishnah Berurah is that connected to the bracha of Avarabba, which comes right before Shema. That's one of the birchas Kriya Shema that come right before we say the Shema. That one can have in mind that this bracha should also count for the birchas Torah, because I think we once actually studied the text of Avarabba together. It's all about the Torah. So that one can fulfill their obligation of birchas Torah if they have in mind to fulfill it while they say this before the Shema. So you should have it in mind that you're fulfilling your obligation when you say Ava or Rava in the morning, and then after davening you should learn something also as well. So those are the two options that the Mishnah Berurah gives. This is very, very genius. That what happens though if you took a nap the day before, meaning Shavuot, let's say Shavuot is Wednesday night, right? So you're going to stay up all night Wednesday morning, Thursday morning. You want to know if you can say Birchas Torah. And then you realize you took a nap on Wednesday from 2 to 4 p.m., right? You knew you weren't going to make it up all night, so you took a nap. So Rabbi Akiva Eiger, he says, oh, if that's the case, then you can for sure say a bracha in the morning. So why should that be true? Who cares if I took a nap on Wednesday? Why should that impact me Thursday morning? So he explains as follows that meaning it goes back to the original machlokus that we had. We wanted to know, why do we say Birchas Torah every single day? So there was two options, right? Number one was that Rabbeinu Tam, he held that every time it's a new day, you say a bracha, and the Rosh held because you took a nap, you fell asleep. I mean, you fell asleep at night. So if you fall asleep at night, that's a break. So Rabbi Kiva Eger says that if you took a nap on Wednesday, then either way you're okay because you fell asleep at nights. If you fell asleep during the day, so you have a break. And so if the rush is right, then you should say a bracha. And if you're a Beinu Tam, it's a new day, so you should say a bracha. So either way, you should say a bracha. So that's what Ricky Vager says. Yeah, and then there's discussion about one who takes a short nap. You just took a short nap. What do you have to say, bracha? So that's already a big machlokas among the later poskim. And most people suggest that it's better to do the options given by the Mishnah Berurah, even if you took a small nap. If you had a real sleep at night, then you would just do as you normally do in the morning. But it's important to remember, if you do fall asleep, if you do go to sleep at night and you're not able, or you don't plan on staying up all night, you should remember that you're a very valuable asset in the morning at Shachris, because you're someone who can for sure say these Birchas Torah, and we could say you could do more stuff also. The next discussion is about Elokai Neshama Mavir Sheina. These are specific brachos as well that we say in the morning. So the Ramah says the brachos, meaning in regards to Birchos Shachar, right? Most of the Birchos Shachar that we say, right? Right? All those. So the Birchos Shachar. So the Ramah says that a person can say them even if they did not sleep, because these brachos are about blessing God for creating all the needs of the world. It's not really about what I need. That's what the Ramah says. I'm not sure where the Sephardi Pesach is on there, because it seems like the Shulchan Aruch argues. But anyways, so that's what the Ramah says. However, there's a couple of brachos, Elokai Neshama, Mavir Sheina, which have more personal language. Like Elokai means my God, and in Mavir Sheina, which is the bracha of Hashem removing sleep off our eyes, says also more personal language, Miapapai, from my face. So some suggest that if you didn't sleep, you should not sleep them. Elokai Neshama is about God returning your soul in the morning. So maybe if you didn't sleep, then it's not relevant to you. So to avoid having to choose sides in this machlokas, so that too, it's better to hear by it recited by someone who's certainly obligated in this bracha while they have you in mind, right? So someone who did go to sleep at night. Yeah, and one who's listening to someone else recite the bracha of Ma'avir Sheina, they should wait until the end of the bracha, which is Gomal Chasadim Tovim Amo Yisrael, the very, very end, to say Amen. Yeah, but most say the Aruch HaShulchan, Kaf HaChaim, and maybe the Mishnah Berurah too, that if one is unable to find someone to recite the bracha, they would be able to say these brachas on their own. Okay, what about, this is next one, this is a good one. What about washing your hands, Netilas Yadayim? So every person is obligated to wash their hands in the morning and say the bracha of Netilas Yadayim. But again, right, this is the problem. There's always a debate why we do things, and the result of that gets us into problems. So it's gonna feel very similar to about Birchas Torah. So the question is, why do we wash our hands in the morning? Why do we do Netilas Yadayim in the morning? So there's actually three main answers that are given. And the answers that are given are going to impact this question. Answer number one is the Rush. The Rush says a person's hands get dirty at night, and it's impossible they didn't touch a dirty place during the night while they were sleeping. So Chazal said to wash one's hands and make a bracha before Kriya Shema and Tefillah. So the Rush, what's the answer? When you're asleep, you're going to touch dirty places, you're going to need to wash your hands. Answer number two, the Rashba says, in the morning, after we wake up, we're like a new human, and we need to thank Hashem that we are created to serve Him and bless Hashem. So therefore, the Chazal, they established to sanctify ourselves in his kedusha and wash our hands from a kli, from a vessel, like the Kohen who sanctifies his hands before serving a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So what's answer number two? The Rashba says it's because every single day is we wake up like we're like a new human every single day. And another reason, which is maybe a reason, maybe is ruach ra, this like spiritual bad wind, which is like a bad spirit that follows on us when we sleep. So that's the third reason. So, okay, so three reasons, right? Number one, our hands get dirty when we're sleeping. Number two, every single day, it's like we're like this new being. And number three is because of this like bad spirit. So what happens if a person didn't sleep, right? So what do you do? So you have to go through these three reasons one by one and see what would the halacha be. So for your answer number one, right, the rush, it's about touching something dirty. So if you didn't fall asleep, then you didn't touch anything dirty. So you don't need to say Netilas Yadayim, and you definitely shouldn't make a bracha because you might not be obligated. Answer number two, right, was that it's about being like this new being. That's the Rashba. So it would seem that even though you didn't sleep, but it's about a new day in this world, or perhaps it's like this low plug, which is sometimes when Chazal, when the rabbis establish these things, they establish them without making any. They said like this is the rule no matter what. So perhaps that's what I mean. Then it would require a new Netilas Yadayim with a bracha because you're obligated because it's a new day, right? You're like a new being, new day, even if you didn't fall asleep. And then the third reason about this like bad spirit. So we don't even know, is it sleep which causes the bad spirit? Or maybe it's the night which causes the bad spirit. So Mishnah Berurah says, right? Very similar to what we had before. We don't know if we should say a bracha or not. Depends. We don't know which is the real reason why we're washing our hands in the morning. So it would seem that you are stuck. You don't know if you should say a bracha. So Mishnah Berurah says, I can get you out of this problem. He says the practice is if you stay up all night, then you should use the bathroom when you're ready to daven. If you use the bathroom when you're ready to daven, right before you're ready to daven, at that point you can certainly wash your hands, and because you're now obligated to wash your hands, even and you can say it with a bracha, and then you would first say the bracha, and then you would say Asher Yatzer. That's what the Mishnah Berurah says. So that's how Mishnah Berurah gets out of the problem. That is the practice that one should do in the morning of Shavuos if they stay up all night learning. Question is, does one need to stop learning immediately at Alus HaShachar to wash their hands and say Birchas Torah, or can you keep learning? So some poskim restrict and say one must stop immediately at that time. But most rule that one does not need to stop, and you could keep learning until you find someone who's comes to shul and say, I went to sleep at night. I can say Birchas Torah for everyone. They walk in, save everyone. You can save you from Birchas Torah. You can listen to me. So that's really that's what most say to do, and I think is the common practice. We'll do tzitzis very quickly. Tzitzis, if someone wears a talis, so that's really easy. If you wear a talis, you're not wearing your talis all day, and therefore you say the bracha on the talis in the morning, even if you're up all night. The Shulchan Aruch, he writes that since there's no obligation of tzitzis at night, even if one wears it the entire night and sleeps in it, right? If you're going to sleep in your tzitzis, the Shulchan Aruch says you were never obligated to wear your tzitzis at night. So that's called a hefsek, right? That's a break. And therefore, a new bracha is required in the morning, even if you're up all night. So from a Shulchan Aruch, tzitzis is no problem. Again, this is only relevant to people who don't wear a talis. But Mishnah Berurah says, no, there are those who argue that tzitzis is required at night. So then there was never a hefsek at all, and a new bracha is not required. And the Mishnah Berurah says, again, safek brachos lahakel. We don't know if you should say a bracha. We don't know if you should not say a bracha. So you have to be lenient. So Mishnah Berurah says, okay, I'll tell you what to do. It's going to sound very, very familiar. He says, one who does not wear a talis should listen while someone else recites the bracha on the talis while having them in mind. So if you wear a talis, you should be prepared that someone might come up to you and say, can you make the bracha on your talis and have me in mind for my tzitzis? And even though you'll notice that the brachos of tzitzis are different then the bracha of talis gadol, they're a little bit different for talis and for tzitzis. But Mishnah Berurah says that they really fulfill each other. Certainly b'di'evet, certainly if after it was done, so it would be sufficient. And finally, when you go to sleep, when you come back home, you have a little kiddush, then you go back to sleep, right? Hopefully you're able to sleep a little bit in the day, right? 9:30 to 1:30, 2:30, depends how loud it is in the house. So do you need to say Shema? So most people say you don't need to say Shema. Then that's only if you and you don't need to say the bracha of Hamapio that is said at night. Because you might not even know if you're going to fall asleep in the day. Do you need to say Moda'ani? Chaim Kanievsky says no. Most people say no. Do you need to wash Netilas Yadayim? So when you wake up, yeah, you should probably wash your hands, but with no bracha. Um, and then, yeah, should you say Elokai Shema about returning the Shema? The practice is not to. Is a new bracha on tzitzis required? So that is a little bit of discussion. The Mishnah Berurah says one who sleeps in the day removes his tzitzis. So there are different opinions if that's called a break or not. So the Mishnah Berurah suggests that one should sleep with his tzitzis covering him. Right? If I go back from home on Shavuot morning, so Mishnah Berurah says you should sleep either with your tzitzis or your tzitzis covering you, then you'll get out of this question, because if you don't sleep with your tzitzis, maybe you have to say a bracha, maybe you don't have to say a bracha on it. So some people like to use their tzitzis as like a little bit of a blanket on Shavuot morning, because I guess it's not so comfortable to sleep with your tzitzis on. And Rav Elyashiv says if someone did not sleep with their tzitzis on or covering them, then they should indeed make a new bracha when you put them back on in the day. Okay, that's all for that. Everyone should have a good night. Is there any questions?